So I've had this foot pedal style sewing machine base for a while. Couldn't really ever figure out anything to do with it, so I think what I decided to do was I'm going to turn it into a kind of a little wine caddy. Put a tabletop up here on top, and make some little place to hold some wine glasses, maybe a couple bottles of wine or something like that down on the bottom. So let's see how it turns out. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is take it apart and see if I can't clean it up a little bit. All right, there we go. So I got it all cleaned up. I put it back together. I kind of like it's got a kind of an old look. It's got a lot of paint kind of flaking off of it in places. I kind of like that. I don't think I'm going to do anything more with it other than maybe when I get done with it, maybe wipe it down with some kind of maybe furniture polish or something like that to keep it kind of clean, but give it that clean, maybe a little shiny look. But I like that kind of rustic look to it where the paint's flaking off of it a bit. So the next thing I'm going to try to do is make a tabletop for it. So I've got this leftover piece of 3/4 inch plywood. I think it's going to make a pretty good backing for the table. There's my 18-inch width. Now I'm going to set my saw up for my 24-inch width. Okay, so I realized my saw won't extend out to 24 inches, so in an effort to try to keep this as square as possible, I made this little slide jig right quick. All I did was basically just cut 2 pieces, fit down in these guides, and put this backstop on here, and hopefully I can slide my material through and keep it as square as possible. Let's try it out. All right, so there we go. I think it worked out pretty well. I think it's going to be basically just the right size for a little wine cart to kind of fit in the corner, and hopefully it'll look real nice. So in the process of thinking about how I was going to lay this out, I got to thinking I might try to make some kind of cool design on it like this. So this is going to pretty much kind of be my pattern. I just sat down one night while I was thinking about making this table and drew this out. Kind of a herringbone pattern, I guess, if you will. So what I'm going to do is start off with a 4" by 4" piece, but actually now looking at it, I think that might be a little big. So what I think I might do is take that and turn it into maybe a 3" by 3" piece, and then these going either way, these, you know, running this way will probably be 1.5" wide pieces, and then I'll just create the pattern. These are some pieces of old flooring that we had. I'll say old, it's new, but it was flooring that was left over from when we built the house, and I just think it'll match really well with you know, what we've got going on in the house. I think it'll end up being a real pretty pattern as well. So I'm going to rip those down and rip that block down probably to a 3" by 3" piece, and be right back. We'll get started. So to get my pattern started, again, I need to find center. I need to draw 2 center lines going this way and this way, so I can get my starter piece centered off of the points, and that'll get everything nice and square and get things rolling. So again, we'll go 0, 9 inches, mark out. And here, we'll go ahead and do our center, and mark out. So now that gives us the center marks, so we can lay our piece on here using the points, getting everything nice and straight, and then that'll be our starter piece. I don't really know yet how I'm going to fix these down. Probably just wood glue. I really want to keep that clean look. I don't want to have any nails or anything like that in the top of it, but I hadn't really decided yet, so I'm gonna think about that for a minute while I rip this other stuff down. All right, so that's gonna be the beginning of the pattern. The piece of wood, like I say, I want to glue it down. I don't really want to have the nails showing or anything. So probably just going to have to maybe use clamps, glue a few pieces, make some clamps, or clamp it down, let it dry for a while, come back and just kind of maybe keep doing that over and over again, in an effort to keep that clean pattern and not have any nail holes in it. So I'm going to keep trucking along at this, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, so there's the beginning of my pattern. While I was cutting these first pieces to put in place, I was kind of letting that first piece in the center glue up and kind of set, and I think it's going to hold pretty well. So I'm going to just go ahead and do my first original idea of just doing nothing but gluing it down. Probably glue these 4 down, clamp them, give it about an hour or so, come back and you know, just keep cutting some pieces and clamping. And like I say, it's going to take about, I don't know, maybe about 20 or 30 minutes between each one, but it'll probably set up fast enough so I can keep moving in a relatively quick speed. So we'll be back. So there's my first glue up. Got my clamp set. I'm just going to let that sit for about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, and see how it works out. Hopefully everything will stay nice and glued down real tight. All right, so that's kind of the beginning of what it's going to look like. I think I really like that pattern, the way it's going to look at the end, but I got everything. This is all cut and glued in on this side. I'm going to figure out some kind of way I can clamp all this down and keep everything nice and smash down until that glue has time to set. All right, so I'm back. This is what the table looks like so far. It's the week after Christmas. New Year's will be on Wednesday, so gonna get back rolling on this. Kind of took a few days off for the Christmas and whatnot like that, but yeah, it looks starting to look pretty good. This is what it looks like after the first glue up. It's all secured. This corner over here is all secured. Now I'm just going to continue to work on the rest of the pattern, moving around the table. All right, so since this is a little bit wider than my 1.5 inch pattern right here, if I put this piece in there, it's going to leave kind of a little, you can see it's going to leave kind of a little real tiny piece right there. I don't really want to leave that little piece. So I think what I'm going to do is use a wider board and just cut it out of one piece. That way there it'll eliminate needing to cut that little bitty short piece right there. All right, so there we go. That side is now ready to glue up. I think what I'm going to do is I had just enough to cut these pieces. I'm going to go ahead. What I've been doing is these little edges, because they fit so tight, and this is just off a table saw. Almost like I used the joiner, but I didn't. But these are so tight, and I want to get kind of a little gap in there almost, or a little reveal, so to speak, so it looks a little, it gives it a little better look. I've been sanding these edges, just taking a piece of sandpaper and kind of knocking the edges off just to give them a kind of a little reveal. So I'm going to do that right quick, and then I'm going to do my glue up on this while I rip some more boards for my other two corners. Now you can see it kind of gives it a better reveal, so to speak, or whatever. It kind of just knocks the edges down a little bit, makes it look a little nicer. So now I'm gonna glue that up and then cut me some more strips, my 1.5 inch strips. All right, so now I got that side glued up and clamped. I think you kind of get the rest of the idea of how the rest of the table is gonna go. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split this out. This will be part one of the table. I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting the rest of the other two corners, gluing them up, and come back when that's all finished. And I've got some ideas on part two. Plus I got a pretty cool gift for Christmas I'm going to try to use in the second part, and hopefully it'll work out. So I'm going to come back in part two to do my trim, and I think I'm going to make a little wine bottle holder for the top of the table as well. So come back for part 2, and thanks for watching.